Hey everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday today. It is really hot in Colorado Springs right now and it rained a little, so I'm hoping that means it might cool down. But in the meantime, we're having some fun in the craft room. Today I'm going to show you how to make an easel block card. It is such a neat card to make and you can use so many different stamp sets to set off this fun fold. The original card that I made, that I found and learned how to make, actually didn't fit in an A2 envelope. So I changed up the measurements a little bit and cut it down to size and created a fun fold for you that will fit in an A2 envelope. I love when everything just stays simple enough that you don't have to make an extra envelope. So let's take a moment to turn down the camera and I'll show you how to make this. Thanks for joining me. So here are the things we're going to be using today. I have grabbed the Submarine Life Stamp set. I love this stamp set, it's so much fun. And I've been wanting to I need to make some more birthday cards. I have a craft fair that I'm going to be doing in the fall, and a lot of my customers that come to that and purchase from me wanted me to make more birthday cards for their grandkids and their children. So this is a great set for that. So we're going to be using that, and of course the coordinated punch that creates the little submarine, but also when you punch it out it could be a blimp, which I love. So it's very versatile. And then I'm pairing it with lemon lolly paper and Asia afternoon paper, and then we're using some background paper that comes from the Bright and Beautiful 6x6 Designer Series paper. I love this paper. I've used it so much. I'm on my second pack, but it's super pretty and it really goes great for birthdays, and I felt like this little pattern kind of looked like water, so that's why I went with it. So let me show you how to make this card. Let's get our cutter. So I did a lot of the cutting ahead of time, but I'm going to show you the basic parts of it first. Let me move some things out of the way. All right, so your base of your card is going to be 5.5 by 8.5. Now the original dimensions of this card were 6 by 8.5, and 6 inches wide is too wide to fit in the envelope. So I cut it down to 5.5 and it works out great. And it really didn't take anything away from the card. So 5.5 by 8, and we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to score this at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, and 8 inches. So you could either score the last 1/4 inch of the paper, or you could just bring your arm out and score at the 8-inch mark. Both ways work. A lot of time I'll just score at the 1/2 inch mark on the opposite end. So we've got a 1-inch score line, a 2-inch score line, a 3-inch score line, a 4-inch score line, and an 8-inch score line. All right, so we're going to set that aside, and then the second piece you need will need to be 6 by 6. Let me grab another sheet of paper, looking to see if I have any scraps that will be 6 by 6, but I don't believe I do, so I'll just grab another one. So we're going to cut this at 6. Actually, it's 6 by 5.5 because I did change the dimensions. So you're going to cut 6 inches by 5.5, and then you're going to put it back on that 6-inch side, and you're going to score it at 3 inches. And that'll make sense in just a moment. So that's your base. And let me show you what we're going to do with that. So we're going to grab our original base, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines, and then the 5th one down here. So we're going to grab our bone folder, and we're going to curl the first score line up, give it a good burnish. Do the same thing for the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th score line. All right, that's going to create our block ultimately. And then you're going to take this other 1/2 inch score line, the one that was at the 8-inch mark, and you're going to give that a burnish. Okay, so everything is going in the same direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this. There's 4 score lines, so I'm going to fold it in the middle so it's folded in half. Okay, that way when I fold it, when I glue it, I can fold it over and it will on itself, and it will glue perfectly to create that cube, that block. So I'm going to use my liquid glue on this very last quadrant, and I am going to lay down a nice layer of liquid glue. All right, I'm going to wipe that off. Okay, so now I'm folding it down. So there's a score line right here and a score line here. I'm folding it down, and then I'm just going to fold it over. And the reason I like to do it this way is because then I know my card is going to fold nice and flat. So once that's done, you can pop it up, and there's your square that you've created. All right, so now we want to create our card top. So this card was too long to use just an 11-inch long sheet of paper. So that's why we needed that extra 5.5 by 6-inch piece of cardstock. And so what I did is I cut this at 5.5 by 6, and then I scored it on the 6-inch side at 3 inches, so it's scored in half. Okay, so I'm going to use my bone folder, give that a nice crease, and that's going to go and attach to this thin area right here. And what's going to happen is that's going to create your card front, and it's going to sit just like that, and it opens up. So to create that, I'm going to just put some glue on this 1/2-inch section that we scored. That was the score that we made at the 8-inch line, 8-inch mark. So I'm going to put some liquid glue here, or you could use whatever strong adhesive you have. I have been using liquid glue lately. And now I'm going to lay this piece sort of so I make sure the edges are straight. I'm going to lay it pretty close to that, to where I want to glue it. And I'm going to push this down and kind of push it forward. I just want to make sure everything's butted up, but I also want to make sure it shuts nicely. So when you do it this way, you just make sure everything shuts nicely. And then when you pop it open, everything's matched up perfectly. All right, so that is our card base. Here is a view from it, from the side, and to close it, that's how it will close and go in the card. All right, so now we're ready to start doing some decorating. So let me tell you what you'll need to cut. So you'll want 4 pieces of background cardstock. This is going to go on several layers of the card base. So these are all going to be 5 3/8 by 2 7/8. So you'll have 4 of those, and I chose Lemon Lolly for all 4 of mine, and they are going to go on these quadrants here. So, you know, wherever you decide to put them, you may want 5 if you decided you want to put it here, but I just needed 4. So that's basically what that layer is for. So 4 of those. Again, that measurement is 5 3/8 by 2 7/8. Then you're going to want some designer series paper to layer on those. And the way I did it for this card is I had 2 pieces of designer series paper and then 1 other piece by itself. So I chose 2 patterns. So I needed 2 of one and 1 of the other. They're all measured the same. They're 5 1/4 inch by 2 3/4 inches. Okay, so those are going to layer onto those Lemon Lolly pieces. And then you're going to want a basic white piece for your message, for your greeting, and we'll be doing some stamping on this. And this is going to be 5 1/4 and by 2 3/4 as well. Okay, so the designer series paper and the white pieces are all the same size, and they're going to be layered on this Lemon Lolly. And then the final measurements that you're going to need are the layers for this block. Okay, so these blocks are 1-inch blocks. And you can decorate all 3 sides or 2 sides, whatever you want to do. I chose to do all 3 sides on this particular card, and I'll show you my samples. My other samples I didn't decorate all of them. So these need to be 3/4 inch by 5 1/4, and there's 3. And then I chose the designer series paper that kind of looked like water, because it's blue, and I made that slightly smaller. So this piece is 5/8 by 5 1/8, so it's just 1/8 of an inch smaller. All right, so those are our layers. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and start with the very front. All right, so on the front piece, I'm going to be layering these 2 pieces together. All right, and they fit with just a nice little narrow margin. Let me get my silicone craft sheet out. I'm not doing any stamping on this. I'm just going to be doing gluing. But we're going to be adding some fun things to it that I've already cut out and colored, stamped, I should say. All right, so I am just layering this on here as straight as I can, and that's the beauty of liquid glue, is it's very easy to move things around. And then of course I want my waves to be going the right direction. Just checking my screen. I got a new phone for my birthday recently, and I got one of those privacy screens for it, which I didn't have for my old phone, and I can't peek up at my camera and see if I'm in the camera view because it's a privacy screen. So didn't really think about that in terms of my videos. So that will be a little interesting to get used to. All right, so I'm just layering this front piece on. And so that's going to be the front of my card. Look how cute, so cute. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and do my front because I'm kind of building a picture here. I'm gonna do my blocks now. So I have these 3 pieces that are gonna go on the front of my blocks, and I'm gonna double check and make sure I cut them correctly. Yep. All right, so I think for one of these I'm gonna go ahead and stamp some fish on it just for fun. So I'm gonna grab, because I'm using this designer series paper, I am trying to pull in all of the colors that are in the paper. So I'm going to grab some Berry Burst, and I must have accidentally put it away because it's not in front of me. Here it is. So I'm going to grab the Berry Burst, and I'm going to grab these 3 tiny little fish, and we're going to have them swimming on that paper. Here are my pieces that I've already cut out, just to save a little time here. All right, I love these stamps so much. They're just so stinking cute. Okay, let me find, here are my fish, and these little fish fit perfectly on the small block. You could also use your Misty if you have one, but I'm feeling confident, so we're just going to go with it. So I'm just going to kind of mimic these little fish swimming. So we're just going to kind of go in different directions here. Okay, so just like that, easy peasy. Maybe make one go off the end there. All right, so that's good for that. And let me clean this stamp off so I don't make a mess. All right. So now that I have that stamped on there, look how cute they are. It just kind of adds a little extra. I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto my Lemon Lolly base piece right here. I've been making a mess today, so I'm going to be sure to use my silicone craft sheet today. I've been extra messy. All right, this piece I'm going to leave blank, so I'm just going to glue these layers on. This is a great way to use your designer series paper too, because it really sets your paper off. I love cards that really showcase that gorgeous paper. All right, just making sure those layers are nice and straight. And now I'm going to start layering these onto my card base. So I'm just again adding liquid glue. And I'm going to start with the front piece. This one's going to go right on the front. And I'm just kind of centering it, just like that. And you can fold it down, give it a good push. Now I want my little fish to be right here on the top, because then they kind of sort of look like they're swimming in the water. You could totally put them on the front though. You could switch it and put these on the front and they would look just as cute. Whatever you like. This card is very, I actually just kind of went with the flow. I didn't really have a plan for this card. I just kind of wanted to use this set. And so I really just kind of sat and just kept adding things until I thought it was good. So I really like cards that I can do that with. I feel like that's kind of the epitome of being creative, is just going through the flow and doing what feels good. Okay, so then I've got that on there. I'm going to go ahead and add one right here. You don't have to do that. It doesn't show a whole lot, but I'm going to go ahead and add it just so you can see how that looks as well. This one is totally optional. And I don't do it with all of my cards. So I'm just, again, going to turn it around so it's a little easier to hold. And I'm just eyeballing it right there in the center. Okay? So now all three of mine are decorated and we've got this piece. All right, so let's go ahead and do the front, and then we can work on the inside. So for the front, I went ahead, I wanted to put a message here. So I just stamped "Sending Oceans of Love" on a scrap strip of paper that I had. I didn't have to cut it at all, except I went ahead with my scissors and just angled both ends. That's all I did with it. And I'm going to add that right to the front here. I thought that was really cute. So let me grab my dimensionals and put those on there. I'm just going to use 4, I think. You do want to be a little bit aware of how much you're adding to your cards for this, because it is a little bit of a bulkier card. So if you add a lot to it, you could end up needing a little extra postage. So just be aware of that. Now, also, another thing you can think about is you could offset this and put some images there, but I'm just going to go ahead and put mine in the middle. I kind of like to center it, and once I get it where I like it, then I'll push it down and get those dimensionals pushed down good. So there's that. So now, before we came on, I went ahead and cut some other pieces. I stamped "Happy Birthday" in Asia Afternoon because I'm trying to have that continuity of color, and I've just fussy cut around it. And then I also stamped this cute little fish with the snorkel in Granny Apple Green, which is one of the colors in the paper. And then this cute little jellyfish is in Berry Burst, again, fussy cut. And then I used the punch and I stamped the Submarine in Asia Afternoon, and then this little, I don't know what this is called, this little microphone, this little sonar thing, and the propeller I stamped in Smoky Slate. So what I like to do is go ahead and put these pieces on first, and all I have to do is put a little tiny drop of glue at the bottom, and then this is where your silicone craft sheet will be your best friend, because you can just lay it on there and it's not going to stick to it. And then you put a little drop of glue right here on the propeller, and same thing, just pick it up and plop it down where you want it to go, and then just leave it there for a few minutes to dry. The beauty of this is the liquid glue, any kind of glue's adhesive will not stick to this. You can wipe them right off. So we're going to go ahead and use some dimensionals on all of these pieces. I'm going to start out with my large ones, and we'll start out with the "Happy Birthday." I'm just going to we'll put 3 on here. I like to err on the side of caution and use a lot because I don't want them to get mushed in the mail meter. Now, you don't have to use dimensionals. You could glue them right down if you want, but I like that extra kind of lift you get by using the dimensionals. I just feel like it sets off these little sea creatures so well. And I'm not going to use dimensionals on the other things that I put inside the card. So really it's only going to be the top of the card that has dimensionals. So that's pretty balanced. Now I'm going to use some small ones for these propellers. So we'll put one here. And one here. Some of these papers are coming off, which is just fine. I'm taking them off anyways. Whoops. Now if you put one down and it kind of shows a little bit, you can usually move it if you haven't pushed it down hard, but you can also, if you've already pushed it down and it's not wanting to come off, just kind of squish it and it'll get out of the way. It'll be just fine. Now one thing I did notice, I made my first sample to try out this card, and I put my submarine a little bit low so he gets a little bit buried. I'll show it to you later. So just be mindful of where you put your submarine. Make him a little bit higher. So if you put your card the way it will display, use that as kind of your guide. And it's okay if this piece sticks up. It's not a big deal. Just don't have a dimensional on it. But I think actually this works pretty good. I want to make him sort of going uphill like that. I just want most of him to be showing. Before I did it a little lower and I didn't like it as much. So just be mindful of your placement. And if you have your card opened and do it this way, you'll kind of be able to see right where it's going to go. All right, I'm going to add happy birthday right here. And now we've got these little guys. Trying to corral my sticky stuff. Where are we going to put him? We'll put him right here. And then we have our little fish. I just love, and this would be a really cute place to put the fish as well. Putting one down there, but I'm going to put him here for now. I think they're friends. So, but yeah, you could add more here and here. That would be really cute. All right, that looks good. And now we're going to work on the inside. So for the inside, I decided I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to decorate this at all, but I am going to decorate this and this. So for this panel here, I decided that I wanted to get this little piece of paper here and do some more stamping because I wanted to carry those little fish that we stamped earlier. I want to carry those over so they would be super cute, just stamped on the paper. And I'm also going to stamp the bubbles. So there's cute little bubble stamp. And I'm going to use the Azure Afternoon to get that tone on tone look on this paper. So first I'm going to do these little bubbles, and I'm just randomly almost creating my own designer series paper here. Sometimes I go too fast and I don't ink my stamp up good, so I do have to be careful. Sometimes I just get going with it. All right, that looks pretty good. Clean my stamp off. And then next we have those little fish that we stamped earlier. So we might as well have them swimming through because they were swimming through on the other part. So where did I put my berry burst? Here it is. And then you just want to figure out what direction you want them to swim. I had mine swimming to the right before, so I'll do that again. And I'm just gonna have them swimming here and there. Super cute. I'll put one here. All right. Maybe I'll have one swimming up there and right there. All right, that's good enough. I just wanted to kind of do a little bit more than just leaving it blue. So that's done. And it goes really well with this, and you could actually have added some of those bubbles here if you wanted to, but I didn't do it. It was fine. So now I'm going to glue this down. I can't wait to show you the other samples. I had a lot of fun playing with this today. I just kept pulling out stamp sets and trying different things. Sometimes it's nice to just do that. It's almost like when you were a kid and you just pull out your toys. You don't really have a plan. You're gonna play, you know, like at Legos or whatever. That's what today felt like. Super nice. And we just came off of a camp out with our oldest kids and our grandkids. So today was a quiet day after a lot of chaos. All right, so now we have that white piece, and I want to do some stamping on this because this is going to be where we write our message, and I just want it to be kind of fun and quirky. So I have grabbed some crumb cake, and I'm gonna use the sand. I guess it's sand, that's what I call it. I'm gonna use this stamp that looks like sand, and I'm gonna stamp off. Oh, I have a piece of tape on my, let me move everything out of the way a little bit here. I've got a mess. All right, let's try that again. I have a really small workspace, so RV life. All right, I'm gonna stamp off, and then I'm gonna stamp just off the paper because I don't want any white showing underneath it. And then I'm going to do that again. Just like that. Okay? So it just kind of created an ocean bottom. So that is all I'm doing there. All right, and then we have some seaweed or some kelp. So I'm going to grab the Granny Apple Green, and again I'm going to be stamping off. Let's get that crumb cake out of the way. So I'm going to stamp it and then stamp off because I want it to be nice and subtle. And I'm going to do one maybe right here because I want to be able to write over this. So we'll do a little bit here. And I'm going to put some right here. And a little bit right here. Okay, that's good. As I said, I'm just winging it. All right, so now I think I'm going to grab this happy little starfish. He's so cute because he has a snorkel. I just love this whole set. I'm going to make him in bubble bath. So I'm going to ink him up in bubble bath, and we'll have him sitting right here. So happy. And then there's this super happy little crab. He will have to be in berry burst, I think. Let's shut some of these stamp pads before we have a catastrophe on our hands. Okay, so I'm going to make him nice and dark, and I'm going to put him right here. Look how cute. I just can't. With the little snorkels, oh, they're so cute. All right. And then I'm going to grab that Asia Afternoon again. Get some of these pads out of the way. And I'm going to grab, they have a set of larger fish, and it's a little trio. So I'm going to stamp those in the Asia Afternoon, stamp off, and then I'm just going to kind of have them swimming off the page a little bit. And they can be swimming in the kelp, they can be, they're just happy little guys. So we're just going to have them swimming by. Maybe we'll put some over here. All right, so even though that's on that white like that, you can still write your message no problem and go right over it. I kind of like doing that. I think it's fun. you almost created your own background paper in a sense, but look how cute. So I would just write my message right on top of that. You could also make it a blank panel and just decorate with the extra panel if you wanted to. You could do, I mean, it's your card. You could do whatever you want. But I thought this looks super cute. So now I'm going to layer it on my lemon lolly. All right. And then the last piece I have is this sorry, I'm just looking for a piece here. Okay, I have this last piece of lemon lolly and background paper, and I'm going to go ahead and quickly layer those, and I'm going to show you where that one is going to go last. This card really comes together quickly once you've cut your pieces and done your stamping. I mean, I didn't color anything. I just used my stamps, so it was super easy. All right, so let's grab our card. So we already added this piece. So now I'm going to add this little panel in here. Look how cute this is when you open it up and have that message. It's adorable. So this is when I'm actually from Florida, so this is where the Florida girl in me comes out. I get really geeked out about these little fish. And fishing is one of my favorite things to do in Florida. I love to fish. I'm a very girly girl, but I also love to fish. Okay, so you're probably wondering what this piece is for. I realized that when you shut this card and fold it down, you see this panel perfectly. So I felt like this needed to be decorated to make it more interesting, and it hides that part that we glued. So that's what that panel is for. It just kind of creates a pretty card base when your card is folded up in the envelope. So I like to have it folded shut and then kind of make sure it's centering over what I've already got down here. So that is done. And let's move this piece of paper. So now when I open the card, that's how it sits up. How cute is that? So adorable. And probably needs some embellishments. So let's go ahead and see what we have. I feel like it needs something sparkly. Actually, look at these. These are pretty. Let's use these. These kind of match the fish. So I'm going to put one here. Blue would look really pretty here too. I'm just going to use these little ones and put them right there just to give it a little bit of sparkle. You could also put them on the front if you wanted, but that looks good to me. All right. So here is our first card sample. Look how cute. Happy birthday, sending oceans of love. And then you open it up and there's plenty of room for a message. You could also put a panel up here. You could move all of this up and have a blank panel. So perfect. And then when you put it in the envelope, you just fold this down and then fold it once more down like that. Perfect. All right, let me show you the other ones I made because I'm so excited about them. They're super cute. I'm just making sure I'm in your camera view here. Where did I put them? Okay, so here is my second card. Cute, right? So this paper is the Full of Life Designer Series paper. And when you open it up, I used the Racing By stamps to create this. And I was only going to put one car on here, but then I realized I could put the second car here a little bit behind him and make him look like he's racing. And he just crossed the finish line. So really happy with how this came out. I love all the colors. I popped on a little ribbon here. It says Racing By to say hi, to say happy birthday. I left these blank and just simply stamped this trophy cup in here and colored it with wild wheat to put my message. And then of course I did the paper on the front to carry through the paper here. So super fun card. A little boy or the little boy in your life, whether he's grown up or not, will love this card. So that is sample number 2. And what ended up being my favorite is sample number 3. So this uses the Unbound Love and the Unbound Beauty paper and Unbound Love stamps, which are these here. So what I did is I took that beautiful Designer Series paper, and when I cut my layers, I cut them consecutively so that they all kind of line up. Look how pretty. And then I just simply added a ribbon here. I just tied it in a knot and trimmed it, added some bling, and then when you open it up, look, I added another piece here so it just continues to to be cohesive, and it just says celebrate. Super, super pretty, but I absolutely love how when it closes, it all goes together. So this card ended up being really my favorite card. I love this card. So there you go. These are the 3 samples. I hope you like them. I hope you enjoy this fun fold. Don't forget, I'll have a link below to my blog, which will have all of the cutting instructions, scoring, assembly, a list of products that I use, and a link to my online store if there's anything you need. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you get to watch my videos every Wednesday when they come out, because you don't want to miss that. So I will see you soon. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you get a chance to craft today, and we will see you next Wednesday. Have a great day.